Hello and welcome to REGO-FIX Tech Chat. My name is David McHenry. I am the Senior Engineering and CME Manager here at REGO-FIX USA. Today, we're out in the Center for Machining Excellence. We're in front of our TORNOS GT13 machine. Well, why are we out here? Let's talk about the tooling that we have that can be used in your Swiss machine. The tool holder that goes into your Swiss machine is just as important as the machine itself. That's why REGO-FIX offers a large variety of tooling that can go into your Swiss machine. Everything from your standard round tool shanks to your tool shanks that have a flat, giving you that area for your clamping screw to lock onto, to your double-ended sides. That way you can work on both sides of your tool block. All of our tool holders for your Swiss machine are 60 Rockwell hardness. They are H6 on the outside diameter, and they are straight within 3 microns. So they're made to be as accurate or more accurate than your Swiss machine. Now, what about options for holding on to this with different types of nuts? What nut options do we have? Well, let's talk about those next. When it comes to working inside the Swiss machine, there's not a lot of room between tool holders, and it makes reaching or doing tool assemblies kind of difficult. That's why most of the tool holders you see in your Swiss machine all use a mini castle nut. Now, the mini nut was developed by REGO-FIX back in the 1970s, and it's made to simply work with a little crow wrench that goes over the top and allows you to tighten and loosen your tools. Well, the only problem with that is if you can't get direct access, it's kind of hard to get this wrench on and it tends to slip off. That's why REGO-FIX designed the MX Interlocks nut. Now, this nut has an interlocking groove on the wrench and the top of the nut itself, so that the wrench actually locks into the nut, keeping you from slipping off and breaking those expensive tools that are inside your machine, or worse yet, hurting yourself in the process. So the MX nut can also be considered a safety nut. Now, with this nut, not only do you have the option of using the standard wrench that comes with it, but there's also an extension. Now, this extension is made to go over top of the cutting tool, allowing you to reach and get your wrench farther away from the nut and the working surface. Now, my regular wrench can go on the end of this, or I can actually take a socket, snap it into the end, and actually ratchet this on, making it much easier for you to access your tools, getting you farther away from those sharp edges. When it comes to what collets you should put into your Swiss machine, well, there are quite a few options that we have to offer. Now, obviously, all of our standard collets are good to go in whether the standard precision, UP precision, or even the micron precision accuracy. That's being 10 microns, 5 microns, or 2 microns accuracy. All of those will actually fit right into your standard ER tool holders. That makes it really easy for any of the applications. Pick the right collet for the job, for the accuracy, and you're good to go. But what about when I want to tap? Well, 2 different options you have for tapping. You have the ER rigid tapping collets, or ERGB collets. These are size specific. When you call in and talk to your REGO-FIX technical team, make sure you give them the shank diameter and the square size, and they will help you select the correct rigid tapping collet. Another option you have for tapping is the ET1 tapping collets. These are axial compensating. They are actually built to have spring compression built right into these. With these, we don't really worry about the square size, but we are concerned with the shank diameter. Again, when you call in and talk to your REGO-FIX technical team, make sure you give them that shank diameter, and they will help you select the correct compensating collet for your application. Now, sometimes you want to do coolant through. So what are my options if I can plumb coolant into my machine? When it comes to getting coolant to the tip of your tool, you have just as many options for coolant as we do tool holders themselves. Easiest option to start with is the metallic sealed collet. These collets are made to seal off coolant coming from the back of the tool holder to make sure it seals before the gauge line, making sure that coolant goes out to your cutting tool. Now with these, remember, metallic sealed collets don't have the full range of a regular collet. So you do have to make sure we are closer on diameter than you do a regular ER style collet. Now, what other options do I have? Well, I have two different options with my sealing disc. I have the standard sealing disc. This disc is a full metal disc. It has an O-ring on the inside that locks to your cutting tool, and it locks to the O-ring built into my coolant nut. These do require the coolant nuts to be used with them. The sealing discs are size specific, so all you have to do is make sure you select the size, range of disc that fits your cutting tool. Very, very easy to use. An alternate application for this is keeping my collet assembly clean. Use it like a dust shield itself. Sometimes I don't have a through coolant cutting tool, but I want to use the coolant through to get the coolant splash exactly where I want it. In that case, I have the option of using my coolant flush disc. This coolant flush disc snaps into the exact same coolant nut. Just drop it in, push it in, and it acts like a nozzle. This will direct the coolant out from the nut through the coolant flush disc along the shank of my cutting tool, washing my chips away and keeping my part lubricated and cooled in the process. So very, very easy to select. Again, make sure if you're using any of the sealing disc systems that you have the REGO-FIX coolant nut to match that. Well, this all works great if I can get coolant plumbed to the back of the cutting tool. But what do I do if I can't? The recool system is designed to be a coolant-induced nut. This allows us to bring coolant in to the front of the tool holder, not the back, allowing us to push that coolant through the collet to get to the back of the cutting tool so you can get coolant out where you want it to go. Now, how does that work? Well, it works by bringing coolant in. So we have a port that connects to your machine, and then that connects to the recool unit itself so the coolant comes in. Now, in the front of the recool, we can use our standard sealing disc system or our coolant flush system to direct the coolant either through a through coolant cutting tool or coolant flush application. Your regular ER collet goes inside that. That allows us to push the coolant through that collet if we need to get to the back of it for the coolant holes. And then all we have to do is select which type of recool am I using. Is it a rotary recool? So is this going onto a live head or powered spindle inside the machine? Is it a static application? Or better yet, is it a high-speed electric spindle application that you've installed on your Swiss machine? The recool system is designed to cover all three, whether it be rotary, static, or high speed. And these will all be suitable for, well, your Swiss machine. All we have to do is make sure we get the correct coolant fittings and connections for your machine and its coolant through. If you have any questions at all about the different options for tooling that's available for your Swiss machine, please reach out to your REGO-FIX technical team. We are here to help.